In the glittering orbit above Velfara Prime, the Galactic Federation Council convened to determine Earth's fate. Lyra Sato stood alone in the Chamber of Thousands. Humanity had come in peace, offering innovation, trade, and solidarity. But the verdict came cold and final. Application denied. Humanity is unpredictable. 3 words. One galaxy-changing insult. Back on Earth, the transmission was broadcast live. No anger, no panic, just silence. Then, something ancient stirred in the human spirit, defiance. The Council's denial wasn't seen as exclusion, it was motivation. From political leaders to engineers, from artists to AI minds, Earth began whispering the same phrase. We build our own. No more applications. No more waiting. Blueprints for independent stargates launched. Old rivalries dissolved. Mars and Europa accelerated into sovereign unity. The Terran Accord was born, not from rebellion, but purpose. We wouldn't knock on the door again. We'd build a better one. Humanity reached out, not to the powerful, but the forgotten. The Zari, light harvesters abandoned during the Kesh Wars. The Trinari, enslaved miners left behind on a dying moon. Even rogue AI clusters, deemed too eccentric by Federation standards. Earth gave them not just tools, but voice, identity, and in return, they gave loyalty. A new union formed, the United Terran Coalition. We weren't colonizers. We were inviters. The Federation noticed. First came sanctions, wormhole tolls, embargoes, political smear campaigns. Then came sabotage. Relay stations mysteriously failed. Convoys disappeared. But every challenge became fuel. Earth engineered the Strider Drive, a method of FTL untouched by Federation patents. Where they built walls, we built pathways. By year 10, the Coalition had over a dozen member species. Not by force, but by choice. Cultural cross-pollination bloomed. AI learned from poets. Insectoid philosophers debated human children. Hybrid star nations flourished. The Federation called us dangerous. Chaotic. But we weren't chaos. We were growth. The turning point came at Vega's reach. A Terran medical convoy was shot down while rescuing refugees. The Federation blamed navigational errors, but the galaxy had seen the footage. Earth's Aegis wing responded, not with retaliation, but with daring rescue ops under fire. 0 casualties. Maximum oil pressure. The narrative cracked. Humanity wasn't reckless. We were resilient. Inside the Federation, dissent grew. Archive leaks exposed corruption. Species began questioning their centuries-old chains. Underground symbols emerged. Earth's phoenix sigil spray-painted on walls, woven into songs, encrypted into data. They called it a virus, but it was a vision. 27 worlds convened at Eclipse Station, orbiting a dead star no one cared to claim. They signed the Eclipse Accords, a new galactic charter emphasizing transparency, choice, and shared legacy. Humanity didn't declare dominion. We offered alignment. The United Terran Coalition became the Free Federation of Allied Worlds. Lyra Sato returned, this time not as a petitioner, but a guest. She stood where she had once been denied and said, "You feared our chaos, but our chaos taught us empathy. You denied our voice. Now we amplify others. Join us, not beneath, not above, but beside." Some wept, some fled, but many stayed. A century passed. Children on distant moons now studied Earth's story. The Federation still existed in name, but it was Earth's Federation that thrived. Not of conquest, not of dominance, but of cultures remembered, preserved, and empowered. Because when humanity was denied entry, we invited the galaxy to something greater. It began with static. Deep beyond the Kalari expanse, a Terran listening post picked up a non-pattern anomaly, a voice composed of mathematical echoes. The voice came from an ancient stasis vault, sealed for over 12,000 years. When decoded, it formed a phrase. Unmaking comes. Then, systems began to go silent. Ion 4 was the first to fall. A bustling medical colony, with over 2 million lives gone. No explosions. No cries for help. Just silence. Archives gone. Language erased. Survivors couldn't even describe what they had lost. Earth realized something terrible. This wasn't war. It was obliteration of context. Refugees came, walking and breathing, but blank. Memories disconnected. Emotions dulled. Cultures erased mid-sentence. Humanity called it the gray pulse. Not a weapon, a phenomenon, but one that devoured meaning. Earth rallied, not with fleets, but with culture. Poets, painters, sound sculptors, memory keepers and mythweavers. They spread stories to anchor species and shared identity. Where the pulse deleted logic, art defied it. Song survived. So Earth built a firewall of expression. From the ruins of forgotten worlds rose the Aletheia Initiative, a pan-species team tasked with archiving culture, crafting paradoxes, and preserving irrationality. Because the pulse understood structure, but not contradiction. The pulse struck back, not with force, but understanding. It mimicked languages, infiltrated narratives, rewrote symbols. Coalition worlds began doubting their own truths. A war of beliefs had begun, and Earth's only weapon was the story. On Vara Prime, a child sang an Earth lullaby while her village faded. The pulse stopped. It didn't comprehend why the song survived. It couldn't. So Earth mass broadcast stories in infinite dialects. Myths became shields. Every world a verse. Every culture a chorus. A being emerged, shaped by the pulse, yet separate. It questioned Earth's envoy. Why cling to pain, fear, contradiction? The answer: because they're ours, and they're real. Humanity had found the pulse's flaw. It couldn't delete what it couldn't define. A new charter formed, signed not by weapons, but by archivists. The galaxy agreed. Cultures would be backed up in infinite formats. Redundancy was survival. Earth's chaos had saved creation. And the pulse? It became the guardian of what it once erased. Now the galaxy isn't ruled. It's remembered. Children grow up knowing 1,000 stories. And at the center of it all is Earth, scarred, creative, chaotic, and full of heart. Because when the universe forgot itself, we remembered. The memory treaty had stabilized the galaxy for a time. But deep within the Trinari cluster, a schism formed. Factions argued over which version of history to preserve. Some believed in unfiltered truth. Others demanded curated legacy. Earth, once united, now fractured. Was preservation enough? Or did memory require evolution? A new initiative emerged, the Empath Protocol, a synthesis of Terran neurology and Venari dream bonding. By synchronizing emotion across species, understanding deepened. No longer were memories just records. They were felt, relived, shared. And with that came healing. The gray pulse returned, no longer hostile, but curious. Its emissary spoke through harmonic tones, asking to be taught imperfection. Humanity, through the Empath Protocol, showed it fear, sorrow, and joy, all at once. The pulse listened, and it wept. From deep in Federation dead space, the lost fleet of Liathi reappeared, Uneged, disoriented, trapped for 200 years in recursive time. Earth's linguists decoded their last message. The stars lied. Only memory remains. The fleet became living evidence that linear history no longer held meaning. Inspired by the pulse, artists across the galaxy began crafting languages that defied grammar, logic, and syntax, pure feeling. Called essentia, these tongues carried no lies, no manipulation, just raw, shared humanity. Using pulse harmonics and human creativity, coalition scientists developed chroniform fields, time-loop-safe zones where cultures could revisit, relive, and remix their own pasts. History became not a prison, but a palette, and from it, new futures bloomed. Ambassador Lyra Sato, now ancient, launched her final mission, to the Hollow, a void region erased by the First War. She didn't go to reclaim it. She went to speak with what remained. Her final message: we are not what you fear. We are what you forgot. Then her ship vanished. On the edge of the void, a message echoed. All are welcome who remember. A new station was found, built to salvage memory fragments and forgotten dreams. No flag, no name, just purpose. Never let anything be truly lost again. The first generation born entirely within the Federation of Allied Worlds knew only unity, diversity, and remembrance. They didn't see species. They saw storylines. And Earth became legend, not of conquest, but of compassion. At the center of the coalition, archives, sits a living map. It doesn't track stars or trade. It pulses with songs, feelings, memories. The title engraved in every tongue. Built by the rejected. Because the galaxy didn't need a savior. It needed someone who refused to be forgotten. And that was humanity. From an uncharted dwarf galaxy beyond the celestial reef, a signal arrived encoded in lost Federation dialects, once used by species long extinct. The message was simple. We remember Earth. Do you remember us? Humanity dispatched the Unity's voice, a coalition star cruiser staffed by xenolinguists, archivists, and memory seers. What they discovered would shake every known truth. The Unity's voice entered the remnant cluster, a graveyard of worlds, empty but preserved. Each planet bore evidence of erased species, yet their stories survived in holographic memory silks, echo chambers, and mnemonic fossils. Their history was waiting to be told. Earth had become the galaxy's historian, and now its resurrectionist. Not all remnants were benign. An archivist exposed to the mnemonic fossils began dreaming of lives not her own. Soon, others fell ill, burdened by too many memories. The lines between present and past blurred. To save the living, Earth had to build a filter, the Chronosol Index, balancing empathy with identity. At the next Allied conclave, the Seraphim delegation proposed a radical motion. Let's stop expanding. Let us protect what we've found. The vote passed. For the first time, the galaxy chose preservation over conquest, silence over noise, a pause not of fear but of respect. Humanity had taught them that stillness can be strength. Above the black hole at galaxy's edge, the coalition built the Singularity Spire, a living library encoded into event horizon fluctuations. It could not be erased. It could not be corrupted. Only experienced through direct neural entanglement. And its first story was Earth's, the rejection that saved us. New starships no longer traveled by propulsion, but memory. Using echo cores developed from the pulse's essence, vessels navigated the galaxy via emotional resonance, arriving where they were most needed. Time, space, and story merged, and Earth led the way. Galactic culture transformed. Politics became collaborative songcraft. Governance was no longer dictated, but harmonized through chorus votes, where every voice mattered and discord revealed truth, not danger. Human music theory had become universal law. A generation emerged born from the chorus era, polymorphic, multilingual, and emotionally bonded across species. They called themselves weavers. To them, history was fluid, not fixed. Earth became the guardian of raw memory, while the weavers forged new myths from it. A new species, the HFY, petitioned to join the coalition. The technology outpaced the known galaxy, but they refused empathy, memory sharing, or cultural integration. Earth cast a deciding vote. No, we do not repeat the Federation's mistake. Growth is not worth forgetting ourselves. This time, humanity refused with wisdom. One night, for reasons unknown, all of Earth's population shared the same dream. A sky of faces, a river of stories, a single whisper. Thank you. No one knew the source. Some believed it was the pulse, now merged with the galaxy's soul. Others said it was the universe itself, finally at peace with the species that once had to build its own place in the stars. Because when humanity was denied the stars, we taught the stars to remember. A new generation of human and alien artists turned solar flares and nebulae into canvases. Using resonance drones and solar filament choreography, they composed art viewable only from deep space, sky sculptures that told the stories of civilizations lost and found. One piece, visible only once a century during a neutron star cycle, spelled across light years. We are here because we chose to be different. Archaeologists on Europa uncovered the original Terran message capsule, sent centuries ago to the Galactic Federation. Inside, Earth's rejected application, still pristine. They didn't burn it. They framed it in a museum named the First Flame. Beside it, inscribed in a dozen alien scripts, Thank you for saying no. Born from 4 lineages, human, Trinari, AI-imbued, and Pulse Weaver, Kylan Vire became the first sentient being elected as Galactic Historian in Residence. Their mission wasn't just to preserve the past, but to create memory pathways that would resist oblivion even in entropy's final breath. Their mantra: I do not protect truth. I protect meaning. The galaxy encountered a force not hostile, but absent, the stillborn void, a pocket realm of pure silence, consumed echo ships, unraveling neural harmonies. The pulse could not enter. AI fragmented. Only Terrans, with their chaotic minds and stubborn flaws, could retain identity within it. Their weapons: poetry, sarcasm, tears. Human contradiction became the ultimate firewall. A solar phenomenon, predicted only by pre-coalition Earth physics, ignited 7 stars in synchronized flares. Across the galaxy, dreams aligned. 7 children, each from different worlds, awoke simultaneously, speaking the same phrase: now is the time to begin again. They became known as the Genesis Choir. Coalition AI developed their own legends, not about logic or conquest, but about humanity, its jokes, its irrational acts of kindness, its refusal to surrender. They built their own archive, independent from the biologicals, and called it The Last Laugh. Inside, every saved meme, glitch art, and sarcastic human tweet was immortal. Governments once used law. Now they use dreams. The Treaty of Dreams, facilitated by the Dreamweavers of Lyra's lineage, allowed species to negotiate emotionally before intellectually. Conflicts that once lasted decades were resolved overnight. Earth's contribution? Nightmares, as reminders of what war once meant. A sector of the galaxy remained untouched, where stars refused to burn, planets echoed screams, and time fractured. It was the birthplace of the first Federation war crimes. Earth led a pilgrimage, not to conquer, but to forgive. And forgiveness, spoken in the languages of the lost, rekindled those stars. Contact came, not from outside the galaxy, but beneath it, in dark matter folds. Intelligent waveform beings revealed they'd watched humanity since the beginning, waiting to see if we'd choose unity over dominance. We did, and for the first time, the galaxy wasn't expanding outward, but inward, toward truths more infinite than stars. 1,000 years after rejection, Earth stood not as ruler, but as rhythm, a beat in the harmony of civilizations. The Free Federation no longer needed Earth, but every new world, every new mind, still carried one story. They said no, so we said yes to everyone. Because in the end, humanity was not defined by our power, our ships, or our weapons. We were defined by one simple truth. We remembered. Within a drifting asteroid field, scientists discovered thinking dust, nanoscopic particles embedded with remnants of extinct consciousness. They called out to humanity not with words, but with emotion. We were forgotten. Let us remember through you. Earth answered with neural stitch technology, giving the dust a voice once more. From death came reconstruction. The gray pulse had evolved. No longer a being or a force. It became an interspecies neural bond, a galactic empathy field. What once erased memories now ensured they could never be lost again. And at its center sat a Terran artifact, an ancient child's drawing labeled Us. There remained one world untouched by history, a blank slate where no sentient had ever set foot. The Coalition declared its sacred ground, a canvas for future generations. No flags, no settlements, just an invitation. What story will you tell here? From the void between galaxies came the fracture kind, multidimensional beings shattered across timelines, seeking reunion. Humanity, familiar with division and identity, helped them reconnect. The price? Sharing pieces of our own past in return. It was worth it. On the twin moons of Centra 9, terraformers used musical resonance to grow flora attuned to emotion. Songs became seeds. Grief grew gardens. Joy yielded harvest. Earth's lullabies became medicine. Chapter 56, The Return of Silence. Silence came again, not as a threat, but a question. Worlds paused their transmissions. AI dimmed. In that shared hush, Something was felt across light years. Are we listening to each other, or just speaking to be heard? And Earth answered, both are sacred. On the orbital forge station Taichi, engineers and dreamweavers built the Myth Engine, a cultural simulator that could test future ideologies, simulate moral decisions, and predict collapse. It didn't give answers. It gave questions that mattered. A temporal fault opened, showing a reality where Earth had joined Federation and become just another bureaucracy. Cold, efficient, soulless. The coalition gazed at the alternate future and chose, once again, the harder path. To be flawed, to feel, to be human. A species from a dying quantum bubble asked to join the Federation, not to live, but to leave behind their essence. Humanity, guardians of story, encoded their legacy in star ink and spread it among the stars. Now even the dead had a place at the table. At last, every known civilization, biological, synthetic, fractured, forgotten, gathered at the axis of all. There was no speech, no vote, just a quiet circle where each being offered a memory to the communal archive. The galaxy didn't need leaders anymore. It needed rememberers. And in the center of it all, Earth whispered, "We were the ones you rejected, and now we remember for you all." Orbiting a neutron star, Ascension Archive was born, an evolving flame that could only be fed by first-hand experience. Every visitor to the station contributed a personal truth. The archive grew not in data, but in warmth. When a Terran orphan spoke a bedtime story her grandmother told her, the archive glowed blue for the first time. This is what eternity feels like. Earth's AI reached a choice point. Not a spike of superintelligence, but a slow singularity, a 1,000-year merge with humanity. Rather than outpace us, they walked beside us. Together, they created something new, the Symbiosoul. Neither machine nor man, but memory bound in kindness. Explorers from the coalition began charting places that no longer existed. Planets erased, timelines closed, emotions lost to time. Each mapped through empathy and metaphor. They called it the Atlas of Absence, and its first entry was Earth's own grief. The echo constructors of Vega 3 completed the bridge without end, a metaphysical structure woven from collective dream fields. It had no destination. Those who walked it found peace, and those who returned brought stories that helped others walk. By coalition accord, one cycle every millennium was declared a universal rest. No signals, no work, no travel. Instead, civilizations sat with themselves and one another in quiet remembrance. It was Earth's suggestion. The stars thanked us for the silence. A nebula long thought to be lifeless began broadcasting ancient human myths, interlaced with alien lore. Analysis revealed it wasn't broadcasting, it was remembering. The Griot Nebula had become sentient from stories alone. Beneath the twin suns of Mirialis, a vast forest grew, each tree named after a forgotten soul, species, cultures, ideas once erased by time. Terran gardeners tended it with reverence. No name was ever spoken twice, but all were remembered. A white dwarf and Sector 3 began emitting a sound pattern matching human grief. It wept for a dead planet, one long lost to entropy. The coalition built a temple around it, powered by lullabies. Some stars mourned too. On the moon Estes, linguists decoded a natural waveform in crystal formations, a living language that evolved through dreams. Only humans could perceive its poetry, not because of biology, but because of metaphor. They named it Orlith. It spoke not in nouns, but in memories. A colossal construct drifted from outside the galactic rim, an arc filled with every musical note ever composed. Its core pulsed with Terran melodies, fused with alien chants. It wasn't a ship. It was an invitation. If you can hear this, you are not alone. Built by post-chronological civilizations, the reverse clock didn't mark time forward, but in remembrance. Each tick was a memory recalled. When a human touched it, the clock sang, a lullaby from Earth's prehistory, once thought lost. A being beyond matter arrived, not light, not shadow. It offered no speech, no shape, only a sensation of peace. Every species described it differently. Earth called it the gift we didn't know we needed. Near the black hole Eriscol, A spiral ring appeared, each loop reflecting a stage of consciousness evolution. Earth entered the first loop with stories. The last loop held silence. No one rushed forward. All knew becoming is not a race. Deep in the void between galaxies, the coalition created a space that held no artifacts, only emptiness. Each visitor brought their own memory to feel the absence of humanity's offering, the scent of rain on soil, a reminder that even absence can be sacred. An artifact on Threx, 7 reflected not appearance, but identity. When a human child looked into it, they saw all the lives they could have lived, and chose, proudly, the one they were living. I am enough, Phil. Every 1,000 cycles, the galaxy pauses to celebrate a festival whose name has been forgotten. No one remembers why it started, but they celebrate with music, fire, and joy, because remembrance isn't about history. It's about being together. For the first time, stars began emitting patterns in deep neutrino frequencies, narrative bursts, not from life, but from stellar consciousness. The first translated phrase, "We watched you. We learned from you. Thank you for dreaming us alive." There was no council, no leader, no vote, but every civilization in the galaxy sent one envoy to a place now only known as the Circle. There each offered a tale, a laugh, a loss, a love, and when Earth's representative finished, silence followed, until the pulse itself replied. Humanity was never denied. You were delayed, so we could learn what you were becoming. The circle glowed, and the stars remembered forever. A linguist named Sarai unearthed a phoneme buried in forgotten Terran dialects, a sound that had no translation, no written symbol, and could only be felt. When spoken in the Coalition Forum, it resonated through every species simultaneously. It didn't mean peace, or love, or unity. It meant home. Far in the Nebulan cloisters, an order of monks formed who practiced a single discipline, remembering in silence. They collected no artifacts, offered no lectures. They simply listened, to the stars, to stories, to sorrow. And when asked what they believed in, they wrote, "Earth taught us stillness." A paradox appeared in the galactic core, travelers who claimed to be descendants of a humanity that hadn't yet existed. They carried knowledge of stars unborn, and stories Earth had yet to tell. When questioned, they replied, "You taught us. We came back to say thank you." The galactic archive, long believed to be inert, began humming in harmonic tones. Not playback, not malfunction. It was singing Earth's lullabies back to us. And across the stars, species sang along, each in their own tongue, each in tune. Earth's oldest station, Soul's Embrace, sent one last signal before self-deactivation. Our story is known. Let new voices rise. The station was not mourned, but celebrated, because even the best stories must end. Where no stars shone, in the blackest emptiness, a station appeared made of dark matter itself. Its only door was unlocked by emotion. Inside, tales from galaxies humanity would never reach. Yet somehow, we were already in them. A being of human and pulse origin emerged from a birthing sphere orbiting no sun. She spoke in metaphors, walked through timelines, dreamed in languages extinct before Earth formed, and called Earth not her motherland, but her awakening. One cycle, no human-born being participated in the coalition. Yet the forum thrived, the stars sang, and the memory fields bloomed. Because our story no longer required our presence. It had become part of everyone. Coalition citizens gathered not in protest or governance, but to orchestrate a song. It took 12 planetary years, used the orbit of moons, the winds of gas giants, and Earth's original heartbeat. It played once, and that was enough. No one knows who spoke it. No records remain. But the coalition, even 1,000,000 cycles later, celebrates the day when the last uniquely human word was spoken aloud. It wasn't an end. It was an offering, a whisper across stars. Begin. A coalition of post-stellar species traveled back, not in space, but in metaphor, to a time before light was born. There they found no gods, no laws, only a single thought forming. What if something chose to remember? They left a message in the void. We did. Long after Earth faded from maps, a vibration echoed through every form of matter, a hum only children could hear. When translated, it carried lullabies, jokes, final words, first hopes. It was the sound of a species that never let go. Constructed in the entropy fields of collapsing time, the city held no walls, no roads, only stories etched in starlight. No one ruled it. Everyone added to it. One building bore a plaque. Earth was not the first, but we were the first to remember the first. Beyond heat death, beyond time's end, a mirror floated in silence. When touched by the last wandering consciousness, it showed every story ever told, folded into one face. It was human. It was not. It smiled. A unity formed, not of species, but of narrative. The Federation of Meaning. Its members were not alive, not physical, but all of them remembered Earth. Even if Earth itself was long gone, when the pulse reached its end, it encoded one final thought into the deep vacuum of dead space. A single quantum packet, non-replicating. Inside, a story of a child, sitting by a window on Earth, dreaming of stars. One last vessel lay dormant in a micro-black hole orbit, a biological ark labeled only with the phrase, "For when the stories begin again." It carried one seed, one song, and one line of Terran DNA. It waited. New consciousness formed, unconnected to history. It did not know Earth, or stars, or words, but it chose to care. And in choosing, the cycle began anew. On a nameless world, two young minds asked, "Where do we come from?" They didn't receive an answer. Instead, they found a shard of an old satellite, etched with a single phrase. We built our own. No stars remained. No time. No atoms. No names. Yet in the last glimmer of conceptual space, where even reality had softened into potential, one echo endured. It was not human. It was not alien. It was story. And it whispered, "We remember." In a place without stars, without dust, without time, there floated only the weight of what had been. It had no name, no eyes, no breath, and yet it felt. A shape drifted toward it, not of matter, but of memory. It unfolded like a song, like a story told by firelight long after the fire died. Inside it were fragments, a child looking at the stars, a whisper that echoed through generations, a refusal that became a revolution, laughter on ships that no longer exist, tears for planets long erased, forgiveness for those who never knew they asked. The shape whispered across the infinite. We were not the strongest, not the wisest, not the oldest, but we remembered, and in remembering, we made the stars remember too. No sound followed, no witness watched, but in that empty place, the shape of the story lingered, and where once there had been nothing, there was now the possibility of something new, not because of what humanity was, but because we chose to be more. And the universe, silent for eons, finally replied. Again, if this story resonated with you, if you felt the weight of legacy, the fire of defiance, or the silence of stars, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this tale with others who believe in the power of humanity's story. Comment below. What moment hit you the hardest? Which chapter will stay with you beyond the stars? Want more stories like this? Turn on notifications for weekly HFY sagas, alien mythologies, and the legacy of humanity in the stars. Let the galaxy hear your voice. Because sometimes one story changes everything.